Hi friends, today we're going to do a lovely landscape drawing. The materials we're going to be using mixed media, so a mix of different materials. If you do have a black construction paper, that is great because it creates a really nice tone for the background. And the chalk, if you have sidewalk chalk, this is chalk pastel, which is artist grade, but chalk that you would use to draw outside will work just fine. If not, you can also use colored pencil. If you don't have black, you can use white, and same again, chalk or colored pencil. And then for the chalk, if you are using that, I like to get a cotton ball. If you don't have a cotton ball on hand, you can just use tissue paper and then just a scrap sheet. And I'll show you more about what that looks like. And then finally, for our drawing utensils, if you're using black paper, you're going to need to do the drawing in white because black won't show up on white. And then if you are using white, you're going to need to do the drawing in black. And we can start with a pencil. So a lot of different suggestions for materials. Really whatever you have on hand will work just fine, and if you have any questions, just feel free to put it in the chat box. All right, so I'm gonna start out with my drawing. Now we're gonna be doing a silhouette. So the silhouette shows the visible form of an object, and our object that we're going to be drawing, well actually subject, is a wolf. So I'll show you both examples. I'll show you on the black and on the white paper, but just decide which one you want to use. That way I can also show you the difference in materiality. We're doing the same drawing on both ones, but you know, you'll get a totally different look, so you can maybe use that for a future reference. So starting out, I'm going to do a horizon line, and this is going to be for the land. So the land, we're just going to do a slightly kind of jagged line, and I'm doing this close to the bottom of the paper because I want to have a lot of space for the sky. So again, if you're using black, you're going to use a white colored pencil. If you don't have colored pencil, you can use crayon. So we're just creating a landscape here. So everything below this line is going to be the land, everything above is the sky. If you're using your white, it's going to be the same, kind of just jagged line going across. All right. So the next thing we want to do is the silhouette of the wolf. So decide where you want your wolf on your paper. Do you want it close to the left side, really in the middle, close to the right? So you decide where you'd like it. And then we are going to start out with a simple drawing. I'm also going to do it pretty small because I do want that big background. So using, this is called the circles and tubes method. So we're going to start out with a circle, and maybe those of you that are advanced, if you wanted to do 2 wolves, then you could do that along with me. If not, just follow along with one. Then this is going to be an oval shape for the torso. So the torso is, for us, it's our shoulders down to right above our hips. And then the last circle we're going to do is for the hips. So you're going to do a smaller circle, a little bit more spaced out on the left side. Okay, so now that we have these simple circles, we can connect them with more limbs. So the limbs are going to be the legs. So I'm just going to start out by doing straight lines. So I'm going to do one in the front, one slightly behind there, kind of touching the left side of the circle. The next one is going to touch the right side of the circle and then go back towards the bottom left and straighten out. Lastly, touching the left side of the circle, and it looks crossed right here. Okay, so we're just building up the form little by little. Next, we're going to add the nose. So this is going to be, the wolf is howling, so its head is faced up towards the sky. So just in the middle of this circle, you're going to do a slightly curved line towards the right. And then it curves back towards the circle and it's going to touch the circle. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is a slightly angled line going towards the right, and then it curves back down to connect. So it's coming together little by little. Next we're going to do the ear. So the ear is going to be on the bottom left side of this circle. So you're going to do slightly curved line to the left and then back connecting to the bottom of the circle. So you may start to make out the shape of, this is the head. Okay. And now we are going to go ahead and create more of that meaty part of the body. So first, starting underneath, this is the chin. You're going to do a curved line curving down until it touches the horizon line. So this, we start out with really simple, more geometric shapes, and now we're going into more organic curved lines for the body. Okay. And then right here in between these two lines, that's going to be where the legs meet. So you're going to do a curved line curving down towards the bottom. And let me do this on the other side. We're basically following it, if you didn't notice already, we're following along the same directions, but we're just using different materials on a different colored background. And if you can't tell, I am pressing a little bit harder, that way I have the sketch, and I'm gonna cover up those lines later on just so you don't get confused. The next thing, you're gonna go from the middle here, and it's going to go down until it touches the horizon line, and leave a little bit of space at the top and do another curved line curving down. So these are the thighs, that more muscular part of the body, and then these are more like the calves, closer to our ankles. Alright. Okay, so we're going to connect the front of the body with the back. So you're just going to do a curved line curving towards the left here. Oh, let me try to zoom in for you guys. There you go. Okay, and then the same thing on the other side. Okay. And then this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but I'm confident in your abilities. So these legs are crossed, and that's because if you have a dog, you'll notice that their leg goes the opposite way. It goes backwards and then more towards the front. So this, we're just gonna kind of put these together. So that's one leg in the front, and press harder pressure here. Okay. And then the other leg is going to be just a little bit smaller behind. Because it's further away from us, it appears a little bit smaller. Okay. Lastly, we are going to do the spine. So the spine is going to run from behind the head up along the shoulders, the back, and connect to the bottom here. Okay. So the last thing we're missing for the dog, for the wolf, sorry, is the tail. But you know, this is very similar. Wolves and dogs share DNA, and so very similar way that you would draw the anatomy, the body of the dog as you would the wolf. Okay, so we have created our wolf drawings, and so now we're going to go in and get rid of the sketch lines, so those circles and lines that we started with. So if you are using the black paper, you are going to want to cover those up too. So if you're doing black or white, you are going to want to fill inside the body. And that already starts to really help us put together the outlines, so the silhouette of our wolf. The other nice thing about using a pen, I'm using Sharpie, but you can use a black marker or a pen, is you can also kind of clean up your lines. You can make them more thin if you like that look, or if you like it a little bit more bold, that's fine too. And the same thing goes for the wolf on the white paper. So you're going to, for this one, you're going to outline and fill in the whole entire body. So we don't have any detail here because this is just a silhouette. So just like a good example I tell you guys sometimes is if you're at the beach and you're watching the sunset and you see palm trees in the distance, and you know that palm trees aren't black in color, but because of the way that the light is hitting it, it is just giving us an outline. So we can see the form, the shape of the palm tree, but we can't see much description and much color in it. So that's the same thing for this. Okay, and we have our wolves. So you can already see the difference, you know, between, we did the same exact drawing, but, you know, black paper versus white. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to complete filling that in, and then we will move on to the background. Okay, so moving on, we are going to get into the background. So I'm going to zoom out here. There we go. So I'm going to show you how to use chalk pastel. So I'll start out with the black paper. Okay, so there's a few different techniques in how you can use chalk pastel. Since we are doing the Northern Lights and they're just this beautiful display of color, it's like the color is dancing in wave-like formations throughout the sky. And there's the whole science behind it, which I'll get into more while you guys are working. But just to start out with the technique, we are going to choose the colors we like, and you know, there's so many different types of colors. Ones that are really popular for the Northern Lights would be this lime green, a lot of times this bright violet color, even, let's see, even like some deeper green, blue, so just some various colors that you can use. There's even pink sometimes. So yeah, just choose the colors you like for your sky. When I'm using my chalk pastel, and some of you probably have worked with me before in the studio doing this, instead of doing it directly on the paper, you can use a scrap paper. Okay. And so I'm going to use the flat side of my chalk pastel, and you might have those big ones if you're using the sidewalk chalk, that's fine. Works the same way. And you're just going to rub the chalk onto your paper, and you'll see that there's going to be little dust. See? So that is our pigment, that's our color. So just do each swatch, each area of color on your scrap paper. Okay, cool. So your hands are gonna get a little bit messy. That's fine, it'll come right off afterwards. Now, you can either use a cotton ball. So you're just gonna choose the color you want. I'm gonna start out with this bright green. You're going to dab it into the area, and then the green will go onto your cotton ball, and then you can use this directly on your paper, and it creates this really beautiful streaks of color. And I'm just kind of creating these like beautiful fluid movements in the sky. Now you can follow along with me, or if you'd like to, you know, do it your own design, that's totally fine too. So after I have put, you know, the color down, you can grab another color and just start to add it to your sky. And notice I'm doing these big sweeping motions because I really want that feeling of it moving through the sky. The pink and the purple show up really brightly. You can even get two colors at once. So I have some pink on here, and I'm also gonna grab some purple, okay? And then I can use that also in the sky. So lots of movement. And again, I really love using the black paper and the chalk pastel because you can get like a really beautiful display of color, and you don't have to worry about covering all of the white because this is at night, so the black creates a nice background for us. So it really allows us to get this really soft atmospheric color that is very similar to the way that the Northern Lights would be. If you wanted to bump it up a little bit, you could even use your chalk pastel directly on the paper. I would be a little bit careful with this because you don't want, you know, like lines. You don't want those straight lines there. You want more of a color field. So you can add little bursts of color if you do like it like much brighter. But then I would use either your cotton ball, or I'm going to show you too how you can use your napkin or your your tissue paper. Tissues are much softer than napkins, so I recommend using these. And I just like wrap it around my two fingers. Okay. And then you can use that, similar to how I use the cotton ball, to move the color around. But just so you can see, you know, the difference, this does show some lines. It's harder to get rid of those lines, but it will show a little bit more color, so you can decide which style you like. Okay, so and then I'm gonna go on to the white one so you can see the difference. So yeah, that's how you would use the chalk if you do have chalk. If you don't have chalk, you can use colored pencil, that's fine. But let me do a little bit of chalk on this one so I can show you. I'll do half of it in chalk and then the other half in colored pencil, just so you can see the difference in the material, because material plays a big part in how the overall artwork looks. So again, I'm just adding my colors. I'm gonna choose like some blues too. I added some darker blues so that I could cover up a lot of the white of the sky. Okay, so you can use your cotton ball or your napkin, whichever you prefer, and just go ahead and grab the colors you'd like. You can do that same kind of sweeping motion. So you can really see, you know, the difference in the color on the white versus the black. It's just a totally different feeling. Okay. And again, you can do that same technique. Maybe you want to add some more areas of brighter color. And then don't leave it really, really defined. You do want to blur it out. So that's how I would kind of start to create some of those hazy color mixtures for the sky. Now, if you don't have the chalk and you wanted to use, I think colored pencil is the best material next. When you're using your colored pencil, I just really recommend, instead of holding it like you would to draw, you want to loosen it and you want to use the tip as close as you can to your paper, and do really, really soft, so I'm barely touching the paper here. And creating those curved kind of movements in the sky. And again, I'm just always thinking of the energy that I could use when I'm using my drawing tools. So, you know, the lines that I see and the colors, the way that they're playing in the sky, I'm keeping that in mind when I'm choosing how to use my drawing tool. So here, you know, this is contained, it's inside this shape. So I was more slow and really controlled. The northern lights, also known as the aurora borealis, are super free, and so I'm using what I know, what I learned in facts and knowledge to influence the way that I am going to use my tools. And you know, if you do like both, you can try both techniques. If you have like all the materials, if you have chalk and also colored pencil, you could try out both and see which one you prefer. You know, colored pencil, you can get a little bit more pigment, so it's good. It's called saturated, so it's much brighter, you know, versus here it's softer. It's a little bit less colorful, so less pigmented. But those are some different ways that you can use your materials. And definitely for this one, if you are doing on the white paper, you are going to want to do the silhouette of the land. So you are going to want to, and you don't have to do this now, but if you are ready for the next step, you are going to want to do the outline in black. And fill this in below. You can even add, you know, little city. You can add some trees, like a simple way that you could do the trees. You could do a straight line. Okay, that would be the tree trunk. And then you can do some diagonal straight lines coming off the left. They get a little bit shorter near the top. Almost looks like a Christmas tree. And then diagonal straight lines coming off the right. So this one's a little bit more of a sketch, more free. I'll also show you another style. You could do it a little bit more defined, where you do each outline and then you color it in that way. So, you know, I like to show you guys so many different styles because everyone has different tastes. Just like we all have different outfits, different way that we style ourselves, different things that we're interested in. Same goes for art and the way that we create our art. So, you know, I like the more free sketch. Some people may like the more defined detail. So it's really just important for you guys as young artists to get to know so many different types of styles, so many different types of ways that you can use your materials and your techniques to create work that aligns with your personal style. Another thing that's great about the black paper, if you do have that, is you can, I'm trying to see if I can fit both of them in. That's okay, I'll just go like this. Okay, so you can also sprinkle the black with stars. So, you know, the white colored pencil would look really beautiful for that. You can even use, if you have metallic, I have this really nice silver, let me find it. Yeah, so I also have silver. You know, if you do have like a metallic, that'd be cool too. But yeah, you can use the tip of your pencil and create stars. So this is back to that pointillism technique that we were going over before. You can even create a moon. You know, a lot of times the wolf is howling at the moon. So, you know, you could freehand your circle if you wanted to do that. Now, these are all just ideas, so you don't have to do any of these, or you can do all of them. So you just decide what you like. And I'm going to fill it in. I also kind of like the way that the moon looks when it has that really beautiful glow to it. It's almost like a bluish glow. icy blue. So I'm going to, after I color this circle in, I'm going to add another layer of color. I've been really enjoying drawing landscapes because, you know, landscapes have the ability to really take you to a whole another place. Okay. Yeah, so I have this really like cool blue. And then, you know, if you're using black paper, you'll notice that colors look so different from black paper to white paper. So if you ever want to test something, you can always just use, I like to just use the back of the paper just to see. Oh, see, I already was doing that from before. You know, this is what it looks like on blue. I mean, the blue on the black versus this. So, you know, they're the same color, but it's a different interaction. So that's a little bit of color theory for you. And then, you know, like this green, so much brighter on the white, right? So just some things to keep in mind. So we have our two totally different styles, just using slightly different materials. So this is the one that I did with black and chalk pastel, a little bit of colored pencil. And this is with white. So I'm excited to see what you have created. I'll give you guys some more time to keep working. And if you do have any ideas of things that you would like to add to your piece, then just feel free to let me know, and I'd be happy to teach you how to add some more elements to make it more aligned with your style.